Welcome to the China Sourcing Academy course, where we dissect the biggest issues facing buyers sourcing direct from China, with tips to save you time, money, and fast-tracking your business. With your hosts, Mike Bellamy and Neil O'Connor.
That's an example of, this is a strategy that I saw, that what buyers do with their supplier. Sometimes the purchasing manager, are you with me here? The purchasing manager seeks costs down from the sales manager. Sales manager of the supplier said, nope, sorry, we're not reducing our costs. So there's a strategy here. You've seen this, don't you? So the purchasing manager, now being rejected, goes to quality control. Mr. Quality Control, do you think you can just do a few more tests on the units shipped in from this supplier? Can you find some more defects? All right, just do more auditing than you normally do. Just double up your efforts. Just find something, okay? All right, yes. And so then they find something, and then they complain to the supplier. And the sales manager, well, they can't do anything about it, right? They're in charge of sales. They're not production experts. So what does the sales manager do? Well, what do you do in any hierarchy? If it's out of your responsibility, you refer it up to the next higher, right? So now this information gets to the senior sales manager. So now you've got a senior sales manager talking to the senior manager, and some negotiation happens on the price. All right, so there's a strategy that I saw that's used in buyers to get concessions from suppliers that are not budging, okay? They just ramp up the quality audit on the delivery. So this works when you've got regular orders from the supplier. It's continuing, ongoing type thing, okay? Number D, letter D, but I'll explain it to you. A shell, this is a shell of a 250 gigabyte hard drive made by a Taiwanese manufacturer. And I'm in there, I'm in the boardroom talking to the CEO. I said, so very interesting. Is there anything that supplier doesn't tell you? So you always ask the same question, right? That you'd like to know. And they said, well, I think we know everything we need to know from our not our tier 1 suppliers, normally global suppliers, but normally most of our tier 2 and our tier 3. And I'm thinking, wow, how do you get that information, right? Like, I'm always interested in this information asymmetry. How do you get this information? I said, well, Professor O'Connor, let me just call in my purchasing manager to explain to you. So over the next 20 minutes, the purchasing manager grabbed hold of this shell, and he said, he got a ruler and he started measuring. He started doing backwards activity-based costing. He was basically measuring this up and working backwards to find out, and let's think about it. When you're working with a supplier, what are the 3 types of costs? The first cost is labour costs, right? Which is easy. Everyone knows labour costs, right? You can't hide labour costs, right? Number 2, material costs, okay? You can't hide that. All right, commodities exchange, like there's a market for all materials around the world, so the supplier cannot inflate that, right? They can't inflate the labour costs, all right? But one area they can inflate, it's part of overhead, is the tooling costs, right? Because the buyer, they're not experts at tooling. The supplier is the tooling expert. The supplier works with the tools to make your product, whether it's injection molding, plastic or metal injection molding, or many other different processes in the factory. That's the supplier's expertise, right? So the purchasing manager comes in, he starts measuring this up. He said, I can show you right now how much it costs the supplier to make the tooling for this mold. And it probably takes him 10 seconds in his head, but he took 20 minutes and he mapped everything up. He did all the measurements, he did backwards activity-based costing. You all know that, you're all accountants. He did it backwards. And I think, wow, how did you do that? He said, well, I've got a background in, I was expecting him to say accounting. No, I've got a background in engineering, and I worked at ASA for 15 years. And I tell my students, you want to do accounting and finance? Cross that off. You should do accounting and engineering, okay? Then you talk to anyone in the organisation. You can outsource finance. You can't outsource engineering because if you want to protect your IP, sometimes you need to keep engineering in-house. Okay, all right. So that's how they got intelligence of their suppliers. And this was another buyer. So very interesting strategies that buyers use, especially these large buyers, when they're working with suppliers.